By the way, Ibn means son of, but it's a family name. Moshe ibn Ezra, and then Abraham ibn Ezra, distant cousins. And then Yehuda Halevi, the greatest Hebrew poet since King David. Yehuda Halevi was a physician. He lived in Toledo. He writes a poem which reads as follows: "My heart is in the east, and I am in the uttermost west. I cannot enjoy my food, I cannot rest, because the holy city of Jerusalem is in Christian thrall, and I am tied up in Arab chains." He was a highly respected citizen of Toledo. People came to him. He was a great physician. And also, he wrote a book, and his book is a remarkable work. It's called the Kuzari, and it's based on an event that took place, and that is the establishment of an independent Jewish kingdom in Central Asia in the year 750. Have you heard about that? The kingdom of the Khazari, Khazar Empire. Who were the Khazars? The Khazars were a Turkish tribe, and they, on the warpath, succeeded in establishing control over a very important part of Asia. Their center was on the Volga River, and their empire extended from north of the Black Sea to east of the Caucasus. Why is that important? Because they were on the main path of the trade routes from Asia to Europe. So they controlled it. And they were very strong. They established themselves. And they had been one of the Turkish tribes, should we call it nomadic warriors, like the Mongols later on. The king of the Khazars decided, now that he is head of an empire, he should adopt a civilized religion. Now, he adopted Judaism. Now, why? There are stories, of course. One of the stories, the legend is, he invited a Catholic, a Christian priest, who told him about Christianity, and in the course of describing Christianity, said about Jesus and the Old Testament and Judaism and so on. Then he invited a Muslim, and the Muslim talked about Muhammad and the Quran and the prophets of ancient Israel who preceded. And then he said, "You said that Christianity comes out of Judaism, and you said Islam comes out of Judaism. Well, I'd like to speak to the Jews." And as the story goes, he invited a Jewish scholar, and he converted to Judaism. That's the story. Now let's look at the reality, the political reality. The political reality is interesting. At that time, in the year 750, had he converted to Christianity, he would have had to submit himself to the authority of the Emperor of Constantinople, who was head of the Christian world. Had he adopted Islam, he would have had to submit to the authority of the Caliph of Baghdad, who was head of the Muslim world. He didn't want a boss. He wanted to be independent. And I suppose he also had contact with Jews, and he knew about Judaism. The fact is, he converted to Judaism. And then in the course of time, the nobility, his advisors, also converted to Judaism, and then his people. And by the year 900, this was a Jewish kingdom, you could say a Jewish empire in Central Asia.
And one thing, and this is a big thing, by the way, so I'm really hoping that a lot of people who are Jewish are watching this as well, that struck me as really odd when I was learning about Sabbatianism, and this really shocked me to my core because I've always told you guys I grew up with a large Jewish community. All my best friends were Jewish growing up, and I've always seen like the Star of David, that is a lot of Jewish people wear as a necklace, you know, and I thought that that was associated traditionally somehow with Judaism. And so I was very surprised, and I will ask the question, do you know the history of the Star of David? Why is it being called the Star of David? And I'm just gonna just show you guys this straight up on Wikipedia. So if it's on Wikipedia, basically after they've obscured everything, that just must mean that it's just such an irreversible fact, because you wouldn't even want to admit this. But this is what the entry shows you about the Star of David, because it's actually a very recent thing that has been adopted from the Jewish community. Okay, it's not something stemming from the ancient times. And this is exactly what it reads. It reads that it is a derivative of the seal of Solomon, was used for decorative and mystical purposes by Muslims and Kabbalistic Jews. I want you to remember that, okay? So it's a derivative of the seal of Solomon. King Solomon was used for decorative and mystical purposes by Muslims and Kabbalistic Jews. It also goes on to say that only around 1 millennium later did the star begin to be used as a symbol to identify Jewish communities, a tradition that seems to have started in Prague before the 17th century. I want you to remember that as well. And from there spread to much of Eastern Europe in the 19th century. It came to be adopted by European Jews as a symbol to represent Jewish religion or identity in the same manner the Christian cross identified the religion's believers. The symbol became representative of the worldwide Zionist community after it was chosen as the central symbol on a flag at the first Zionist Congress in 1897. So this is a recent symbol. But I'm going to show you that there is a mention of that star. It is called something else in the Bible. It is referred to, and I'm going to just dig this up for you, something that is known as the Star of Remphan in the Bible, okay? And I'm going to show you that star right now. Here's a picture of it. Oh, you can see, if you're Jewish, you're going, oh, that's the Star of David. You can see on that left side there, by the way, that you see a goat, and you see it looks like a pharaoh up top there. So you're going, okay, I don't associate this with Judaism whatsoever. And in the Bible, here's where it's mentioned. It says, "Ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon." It's also referenced later. It says, "Ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, and your Chian, your images, the star of your god, which ye made to yourself." So what is this referring to? It's referring to the ancient Canaanites.
Diana says, we have a friend who seems to want to delve more and more deeply